Hey love, welcome back to another episode. Today's episode is all about the 4 underrated pillars of hormonal health. But before we delve into that and I dish all of my secrets, I actually want to set you up for success. So I've shared with you before that there are a few changes coming to the podcast, one being the name, but another change before you see like a new name and a new podcast cover and all of that. We're changing up the format. And that's because this is going to align very well with just a new season, okay? So, with that being said, from this day forward until I decide I don't like it anymore or something along those lines, we're going to kick off the episode with my favorite blend at the moment. So, whether I'm blending it in my smoothie or I'm juicing it, right? I'm blending it in my blender for a smoothie or blending it in the juicer to create a little concoction. I want to share with you what it is I'm drinking and loving at the moment because I think a lot of you want to know why things are good for you, not just that they're good for you. The next thing I'm going to do is, so after we go through the blend, we're going to get into better because I'm all about helping you boost and better your health and life altogether. And so the better section is going to be the meat, if you will, of the episode. So today's meat is going to be the 4 underrated pillars of hormonal health. And then once I've wrapped that up, we're going to end things with the best category. So these are going to be the best practices for women with specific conditions because what I'm learning is the way that I teach about hormonal health is just a lot more digestible. And I have so many of you who DM me and ask me for my advice and for input, and it's just me. Like it's very difficult for me to like respond to everyone, but I want to share with you some best practices for managing like maybe your fibroids or your endo or PCOS or things along those lines. And then the last part we're going to wrap up is with a boost. So this will either be a food or a supplement that I highly recommend you boost your routine with. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So this week's blend has really been 1 cup of dragon fruit, frozen dragon fruit, a 4th cup of frozen aloe vera, and 1 cup to 1.5 cups of coconut water. Now, the reason I am loving this like dragon blend, basically, like I don't know what to call it. I don't have like a creative name. I just use the fruit, right? The reason I'm loving this dragon fruit smoothie is because dragon fruit is such a phenomenal source of magnesium, but it's also a great source of antioxidants, which help decrease oxidative stress in the body. Essentially, oxidative stress is going to be like why people get diseases so much faster, or they like feel like the disease or their diagnosis speeds up. It's because of oxidative stress. And so we want dragon fruit or really anything that's high in antioxidants to help decrease that. The second ingredient, aloe vera, it really does help the body adapt to stress. And because we are out of that 2020, 2021 haze, I feel like those 2 years were just so hazy for us collectively because we're out of that haze and back into that like hustle and like grind of regular life. Stress is higher, anxiety is higher. And so I think having something like aloe vera really does aid our body in adapting to stress. Not only this, but aloe vera is a great source of vitamin A. So a lot of people love the raw carrot salad, right? And we all know how I feel about that funky little salad. I'm not mad at the salad. I'm not mad at carrots. I'm just mad that everybody thinks carrots are the answer to estrogen dominance. And I'm like, girl, do you know how many other things have vitamin A? Aloe vera is one of those things that can actually help regulate your estrogen levels. And last but certainly not least, we have coconut water, which I feel like by now, most of you know I'm obsessed with coconut water. And it's because it's so rich in minerals and electrolytes like potassium and calcium and manganese and amino acids. Like that is my blend of the moment. I don't know when I'm going to get tired of it. But what I know right now is 1 cup of dragon fruit, frozen dragon fruit at that, a fourth cup of frozen aloe vera, and 1 to 1.5 cups of coconut water. And if you're feeling spicy, you could do 2 cups of coconut. It just makes me feel really good and really replenished throughout the day. Now that we've talked about the blend, let's move into how to really better your hormonal health. And it's by really applying these 4 underrated pillars of hormonal health. So one thing I like to do is I like to be very practical and tactical whenever I am working with clients, whether I work with you one-on-one or we're working in the reset or we're working in a group. I just really appreciate actionable things. And what I learned over the last 6 years is that the most actionable things you can do are truly the most underrated things. And that's why I think these are the 4 underrated pillars. So I'm going to run through the pillars first, and then we're going to kind of come back through and dissect it. The first pillar is proper hydration. A lot of y'all know to drink your water, but you don't know why that's so important. So I want to talk about it. The second pillar is remineralization and supplementation. Many of you who are listening right now, you got the supplement routine gang. Like it is on lock. But baby, let me tell you, some of y'all bodies are not absorbing the supplements the way you need. And so we need to talk about that. The third pillar is nutrition optimization. We all know at this day and age, at this point in life, food is medicine, and that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. And then the fourth pillar is regulation. Okay, down regulating our nervous system. Now, with that being said, let's delve into proper hydration. So proper hydration looks like not being overhydrated, but also not being dehydrated. We know that we're 70% water, but the reason this matters so much is because proper hydration means proper functioning of the body. Proper hydration looks like your urine being more of that lemonade. Like I want you to think about Minute Maid lemonade in a bottle. Yeah. It's more of that color. And the reason is this is so relevant is because that tells you that anything else you're doing is more often than not the right thing. Being properly hydrated is so underrated. Many of the diseases, many of the conditions, many of the diseases that people are experiencing is because they are dehydrated. So when you're properly hydrated, you're in business, period. Now, the second pillar that is underrated is remineralizing and supplementing. So the reason we want to remineralize our bodies basically comes down to your cellular health. Your health really does begin at this microscopic level. And I feel like many of us may have forgotten what we learned in 5th grade biology. And I want to bring it back to the forefront of your mind because these microscopic elements of us are really what cultivate this overall picture of us. And I don't know if you all have ever heard of Dr. Sebi, but Dr. Sebi is basically, he is honestly, in my opinion, he's legendary, like truly an icon and a pioneer in the alternative and holistic health space. But he doesn't get enough credit because people constantly try to discredit anybody that sounds different and looks different. But he, if I'm not mistaken, was a Honduran really health advocate. And somewhere along the way, he got dubbed doctor, although he wasn't a true, he wasn't a practicing physician. He didn't go to medical school or anything like that, but he was a healer. And Dr. Sebi's concepts really caught wind and got introduced to me probably in 2015, 2016, and 2017. And since then, he's been very, very popular in Black culture specifically. I'm not sure how many other people know about it, but, if you were to look up Dr. Sebi, if you're an American, you would look at him and be like, oh, he's Black. But if you are somebody from Latin America, sorry, or you identify as like Hispanic, you would be like, oh, Afro-Latino. So, things like that. But that's neither here nor there. He talked about how we as human beings really are like electric beings. And he talked about the cells. And I remember for so long discrediting what he said. I liked some things he said, but I would like cherry pick what I liked. But in hindsight, several years later, I'm like, actually, this makes a lot of sense. Quite literally, our hormones are getting direction from our brain, and our brain is made up of cells, and we are the ones in charge of how these cells are nourished. And so then I started thinking about how we have to nourish ourselves, and the whole like light bulb of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, mitochondrial activity, prokaryotic, eukaryotic cells, it all like literally, I cannot believe this, but like it all made sense. All those years spent learning basic biology finally made sense. I mean, it took me 29 years to get there, but here we are. So, remineralization and supplementation really is essential for your hormonal health for several reasons. One of the first reasons being, in order for the body to benefit from any supplement that you're taking, your cells have to be able to uptake it. Well, how do your cells uptake nutrients? First, through being hydrated and actually making it through your bloodstream, water being a vehicle, blood being another vehicle. But second, the next way that the cells uptake nutrients is often being paired with a mineral, paired with something else, paired with a healthy fat, or paired with a fiber, or paired with a protein and amino acid. So it all comes down to this level of cellular health. And the way to prioritize cellular health is through remineralizing the body and supplementing properly. A lot of people overdo it with supplements, and then they wonder why they don't feel good. And it's because the body is not even uptaking the nutrients. So if you're somebody who finds yourself taking, let's just say, I feel like 5 things is fairly practical at this point in time. You're probably taking a pre and probiotic. You're probably doing some superfoods, and there's a really good chance that you're taking some type of like collagen or like daily hormonal support vitamin. I mean, you're listening to this podcast, so I can be assured you're probably either taking a pre and probiotic or a daily vitamin, period. Like I'm almost 100% on that. So with that being said, you want your body to actually be able to uptake these nutrients, but when you're overloading the system, the body's not uptaking the nutrients, and it's actually going out of hydroxypath 2 if you have like proper liver functionality. And if you don't, that means it's getting caught up and stuck in the gut, but that's neither here nor there. So that's why it's important for you to remineralize your body and supplement properly. Okay, so pillar number 1 is proper hydration. Pillar number 2 is remineralization and supplementation. And I can say for a fact that most people who remineralize their body, especially throughout the day, they feel a lot better, and they notice their symptoms are like almost, I don't want to say they disappear completely, but their symptoms are much smaller and they see these changes, right? The third pillar is nutrition optimization. Now, we know I'm a big fan of protein, healthy fat, and fiber, period. That's not going to change, okay? We've got our soluble and insoluble fibers. We know that Berri will die on the hill of protein, healthy fat, and fiber because those are our macronutrients. And if you're not familiar, fiber, I'm talking about carbohydrates, okay? So even though I'm not saying carbs, I'm saying fiber because there's simple carbs and complex carbs, but fiber is good. Period. So nutrition optimization, everybody needs something different. I have been very regimented, and I have been on the spectrum of I'm full out vegan. I was full out plant-based vegan at one point in my life. I was raised in omnivore. And then I got to college and I decided, I think my sophomore year of college, I watched the movie Forks Over Knives and I was like, I'm going to be a vegan. I got this. I watched my grandmother who went through breast cancer. I watched her body heal very fast from plant diets, right? Plant-based diets specifically. She never really ate meat. That was November of 2014. Come May of 2015, my grandma was cancer-free, and I'm so happy and so grateful that my grandmother is 80 years young, and y'all, she looked like a whole snack. She's not vegan anymore, but her cancer has not come back, and I am just so grateful. But, that's the testament of like plant-based eating. But with that being said, I've also learned that that wasn't something I could sustain because it was so all or nothing. And it also left me wanting more. It doesn't leave everyone wanting more. It left me wanting more. So nutrition optimization looks like tailored nutrition to you. So case in point, if you're somebody who notices you crave certain things, and it's not just like I'm craving a cookie. Maybe you're like me and you crave salmon. Your body is looking for specific nutrients. And sometimes those foods have a certain level of nutrient that you need. And so nutrition optimization looks like aligning with that, right? So I know, for instance, my boyfriend, I'm just going to use him as an example. He thrives off of red meat and pork. It is so backwards to me. Pork makes me feel slow and sluggish and like I feel like blubber. Do you guys remember the movie Blubber? Was it Blubber or was it Flubber? I think it was Blubber. I literally feel like blubber if I eat ribs. Him, on the other hand, he feels like elated, charged up, and ready to go. Well, why is that? Because his nutrition optimization looks different than my nutrition optimization. And again, everyone needs something different. Yes, an anti-inflammatory diet does work for most people, but you want to take it a step further when you're really tailoring your hormonal health routine to yourself. So for me, what I've noticed is I'm more of a pescatarian than I am anything else. I can sit and eat seafood till I'm red in the face. And listen, I probably even wouldn't even be red. Why is that? Because my body needs more selenium and more copper. Selenium, after doing a bit of research, is an anti-cancer nutrient. Well, in case you didn't know, I'm going to share this with you now. When I was 10 years old, my father died from cancer. Okay. When I was 19, my grandmother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Those are the only two people I know in my family that had cancer, right? I could say, oh, my family has a history of cancer, but I don't claim that because I'm not speaking that over me, period. But I noticed my body was craving this specific nutrient. And I noticed shellfish, seafood, they are great sources of selenium, of copper, which you do need copper in small amounts in the body. These are more of your trace minerals, right? So nutrition optimization is the third pillar of hormonal health. I would love for you all to figure out how you need to optimize your nutrition. And if you don't know how to figure that out, just book a one-on-one session with me. I do not bite, and it is probably the best $200 you will invest in your health because the sessions are structured to educate you and equip you. It's not just like me and you like, hey girl, what's up? No. We are straight up breaking down what's happening in the body, why it's happening, what your body is probably looking for, and then going from there. The fourth pillar of hormonal health is regulation. Listen, we all know trauma is real. We have heard about generational trauma. We've heard about, another term for it is ancestral trauma. We've heard about epigenetics, where things are transferred like trauma is transferred to the next generation, right? Things like along that. We have also heard about fight, or flee, let's try this again. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And I actually was listening to a podcast recently, and the girl said FOMO. Shout out to Monica from, if you need a new podcast to listen to, it's called Feminine as FUCK. I'm just going to spell it out because I know some of you are moms listening, but it's actually a very interesting and thought-provoking podcast in my opinion, but I digress. So we have our 4 trauma responses. And when you do not know how to regulate your nervous system, but specifically downregulate it, what often happens is escalation that makes you feel less than, less equipped. Naturally, we don't want you feeling that way. And when you are working to prioritize and truly optimize your hormonal health, self-regulation and downregulation has to happen daily and multiple times throughout the day. This is decreasing oxidative stress in the body, decreasing your cortisol, constantly reminding yourself that you're safe. Like that is something I had to work through for a really, really long time, reminding myself that I'm safe and I'm secure in my body. And you might be thinking, well, Berri, like downregulation, it sounds like I'm going to go to sleep. No, you're just calming yourself down, basically. That is what you are doing. You're getting your body out of an anxious state. You're getting your mind out of an anxious state, and you're putting yourself in rest and digest. So you're dropping out of the sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic so that you can truly feel and be your best. The reason I say this is underrated is because this is one of the biggest things I have noticed assisting my clients. I have had women who have been trying to get pregnant for years finally come do a session with me. And in this session, we uncover they're constantly anxious, constantly distracting themselves. And I encouraged them to sit with themselves. I teach them different breath work exercises. I give them tangible things to do throughout the day. And in doing so, they often come back and report within, I would argue within about 6 months, they will report that they're pregnant. I'm not saying I'm like the pregnancy whisperer. I'm still learning. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of value in downregulating your nervous system in order to achieve a goal. So if you are currently somebody who is trying your best to navigate hormonal imbalances and you just want to feel that alleviation, please try my 4 underrated pillars of hormonal health on 4 sides. I'm going to run through them one last time. Proper hydration, remineralization and supplementation. Okay? Remineralization and supplementation, they are one and the same, just so we're clear. The 3rd pillar is nutrition optimization and really finding out the best way to eat. The 4th pillar is regulation, but more specifically, down regulation of your nervous system. Your nervous system literally controls what your hormones are doing and the way your hormones are doing it. So constantly calming yourself down, it is actually worth it. Simple things you can do. Do about 15 to 30 minutes in the sun first thing when you wake up, if possible. Going for a walk, whether you're going once a day, twice a day, or after every meal. Exercise, breath work, cold therapy, things along those lines. Although I have mixed feelings about cold therapy. I know it's beneficial, but also in traditional Chinese medicine, like being cold is definitely not the best for women. So there's that. So that is our better section. Now let's go ahead and segue into the best. Today, I want to share with you the best practices for women who have fibroids. And guess what? This is actually built off of our pillars we just went through. So if you're currently listening to this and you are a woman navigating fibroids, one of the first things I want you to do for proper hydration is I want you to get your hands on a tea called St. John's Bush from my friends over at Rich Soul Foods. And the reason I say they're my friends is because I feel so connected to this brand and so encouraged. I personally have never really talked to the founder, but he has the most beautiful spirit and energy. And like he talks about like high grade healing and like I'm going to leave his information, like I'm going to leave them in the show notes, but Akeem specifically, his energy is just unmatched. Like when you think of like joy, he is a joyous person from like what I see on social media. And there's a tea called St. John's Bush, also known as Justicia Secunda, that I believe will work wonders if you are a woman with fibroids. The main reason I believe it works so well is because it supports liver and promotes detoxification from hydroxypath 2. So gets the estrogen out of the body, which stops the fibroids from growing. But it also is filled with iron, and it's like bioavailable iron that your body can actually utilize. And it has vitamin C. You need vitamin C in order to uptake iron. So if you're a woman with fibroids, for proper hydration, adding, I would argue, about 10 ounces of St. John's Bush hot. Notice I said hot, not cold, hot to your routine will definitely serve you. In terms of remineralizing the body, if you are a woman with fibroids, there's a lot of different things you can do, but I'm just going to tell you this right now. My go-to remineralizer is always coconut water. Okay? But I also recommend you pair that with DIM and Indole 3 Carbonyl. Now, I did a podcast episode last week talking about my updated supplement routine and how what I'm taking actually does help shrink your fibroids. But this week, I spoke with a woman who had been taking the same supplement that I'd been taking, and her fibroids were the size of lemons, which I was like, huh? This is a story that she was sharing with me. And after taking the supplement that I'm currently taking for I think she said 45 days, so just a little under 2 months, her fibroids were gone. They were non-existent. So if you're a woman who has fibroids, for proper hydration, we're taking St. John's Bush. For remineralization and supplementation, you're going to do your coconut water and My Happy Flow. For nutrition optimization, it is very, very difficult for me to make a judgment call for you because I don't know you and I don't know your life. What I do know is if you can increase your cruciferous vegetable intake, you should be good to go. However, there's a caveat. If you are a woman who has fibroids and you have gut issues specifically, IBS, gut dysbiosis, SIBO, any of those, cruciferous vegetables may be hit or miss for you. So what you're going to do instead of a cruciferous vegetable, I'm going to look this up as we're talking. What you are going to do instead is make sure you are getting at least 1 cup of fruit a day and 1 cup of other non-starchy carbs. So if you need examples of non-starchy carbs, let me just throw some at you because you know I got you, baby girl. So first and foremost, we are going to go with things like our root veggies, but also asparagus, bell peppers, bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage are, if I'm not mistaken, cruciferous. But so let's go asparagus, bell peppers, bok choy, carrots, cauliflower, chives, cucumber, eggplant, garlic, ginger, green beans, kale, might be cruciferous, mushrooms, nuts, and seeds. Okay, those are just a few of our non starchy vegetables that I definitely want you to get in your diet if you are a woman with fibroids. If you're a woman with fibroids and you're like, girl, I don't like vegetables, here's some fruits. We got all of the berries. I'm not kidding. Blackberries, black currants, blueberries, cantaloupe, cranberries, okay? Grapefruit, guava, pears, nectarines, oranges, things along those lines, raspberries, strawberries. Can y'all tell berries are the bomb? You're welcome. So, with that being said, that is what I would recommend for nutrition optimization if you have fibroids. The last thing, regulation. If you are a woman with fibroids, man, there's so many things that can help you with your fibroids. But one of the things I think might help you without even realizing is a very hot shower or sauna time, because it is literally helping your body purge and it's forcing you into a state of relaxation. When you force your body into a state of relaxation, you're decreasing cortisol. A decrease in cortisol means estrogen is getting fed less, and that's what we need to shrink those fibroids. So that is what I would recommend. I hope y'all were paying attention because I'm going to be honest, I was just saying that off the top of my head. So those are my best practices. But if I'm not mistaken, proper hydration, we were going to add about 10 ounces of hot St. John's bush, also known as Justicia secunda, to your regimen. Head to the show notes because that's where I will link the one that I personally take. Then in terms of remineralizing the body and of course supplementing, coconut water and pair it with My Happy Flow. When it comes to nutrition optimization, please play back to that grocery list because that was a lot of stuff to say in terms of like, in general, cruciferous vegetables. But if you know you have a gut issue, please shy away from cruciferous vegetables and use the grocery list. Even if you don't have a gut issue, that's a really good little grocery list I rattle off. And lastly, for regulation, we're going to do a very hot shower or sauna time. Now, the last thing we need to do is your boost. And listen, baby, when I tell you we are going to boost with berries, I wish it was a joke. It's not. We are going to do what I like to call a little berry boost, okay? So this week, I want you to try adding 1 cup of goji berries to your routine. And if you're like, girl, I'm not doing goji berries, then do 1 cup of strawberries. So goji berries are known for their hormone balancing properties, but also their longevity properties. This is a very common berry to eat in Asia specifically. And what's so great is goji berries naturally have essential amino acids and trace minerals that can help support your overall endocrine system. Strawberries, y'all know they packed with vitamin C, okay? And vitamin C is essential for the production of progesterone, which we know is a hormone that plays a really key role in the regulation of your overall menstrual cycle. And we know they make our skin glow. And not even to front, it is strawberry season, so you might as well get into it, okay? So that's our little berry boost for the day. I really hope that you all have enjoyed today's episode. I know it is a bit longer than what we normally do, but I want to be really intentional and provide so much value in these episodes. Like, I want to be proud after posting an episode again. Like, that's what I want to feel. So if you did enjoy today's episode, please let me know over on Instagram. And as always, love you, mean it.